This video was commissioned by my Gold FLUFFBUTT patron, Drew Lazinski. Do you want to commission your very own video? Then become a Gold patron today. In the Dark of the Night, an MLP G5 fanfiction by Flame Warrior 02.
I'm the heir of the Zephyr Heights throne! Bow down before me!
Those were words Zipp had never wanted to ever come out of her mouth. But under the influence of Misty's necklace, she lost control of herself and said things she had always thought she'd never say. After the incident and the necklace was destroyed, every pony had a good laugh about what happened and went back to their ordinary lives. Every pony, that is, except for Zipp. That event had frightened her in a way she never thought possible, and left behind unpleasant thoughts that kept increasing. The Pegasus princess soon found herself doing things that she'd never think she'd ever do, much less of her own free will. Oh, so there's haunting fragments left of this incident. Oh god, this is getting exciting, and I'm all for it. So, let's hear the rest. By the way, Evil Zipp from As the Misty Clears was my favourite part of the group, so let's just say that this story is turning me on, not in that way. Get your minds out of the gutter. It all seemed to start not long after they had gotten back to the Bright House after saying goodbye to Misty. The five friends were cleaning up the mess they made while under the effect of the necklace's evil. Zipp was currently picking up items around the couch when they noticed something on the floor. Picking it up, she recognized it as the crown she wore when possessed. She looked at the object with interest. She didn't know where she got this from, but it did look pretty good on her when she thought she was Queen Zipp. Queen Zipp. That would be her one day when the time came. The highest authority in all of Zephyr Heights. Pony would obey her to the word, kneeling whenever they so much as glanced at her. Actually, she would be the highest authority in all of Equestria. In your dreams, babe. Zipp, that's never gonna be you. All Maritime Bay had as a leader was Hitch as sheriff, and Bridlewood basically had none, aside from the owner of a tea shop. But you've got to admit, Alphabetal makes a really good damn leader. Neither compared to the title of Queen. Surely ponies wouldn't object if she moved her rule a bit beyond Zephyr Heights' borders. Izzy noticed Zipp stopped cleaning and was about to ask her what she was doing when she suddenly stopped. Something felt different about Zipp. Outwardly, she didn't seem any different than normal, but there was something about her sparkle that was different. It wasn't as bright as it used to be. The unicorn continued to give a concerned look when Zipp finally noticed she was being stared at and looked at Izzy. "What?" she asked. Her tone frightened Izzy, and she immediately began backing away. "Oh, it's nothing," she quickly said before going back to cleaning up her destroyed crafts. Zipp watched her leave and then just shrugged before getting back to her own work, but not before stashing the crown away. What are you thinking, Zipp? Why are you looking at the crown with such ambition? This is creepy, but I love it. She started really noticing her change in behavior when she found herself looking at the Unity crystals more and more. While not as obsessed as she was when they were glitching, she found herself coming up to where they were and inspecting them for hours on end. That's practically what she did in the first Make Your Mark special, so there's no difference there. She couldn't help but think about how all the magic that ponies used came from those three crystals. How Twilight Sparkle had created them to supposedly keep magic away from an evil pony who tried to take it all for herself. An evil pony, possibly still around to this day, plotting their next move. It made the mayor wonder, how exactly would they go about taking the magic? Could it be something so simple that any pony could do? Like, say, a Pegasus like herself. And what would happen if they did? How much power would they have? Could they become an alicorn? Interesting. Loving what you're doing here with the writing. Zipp! Hearing her name made Zipp come to a sudden stop of her oogling as she turned around and saw Sunny standing behind her. "What are you doing?" Her question made Zipp slightly panic. Not because she was afraid of being caught, but because she came to the sudden realization of her recent thoughts. It's nothing, she quickly stammered to assure her friend. Just making sure the crystals are safe, you know. Don't want any more glitches happening at random and ponies falling out of the sky. Whew, that would be bad, she blurted out before flying off, leaving a confused Sunny behind. Sunny's definitely on to Zipp. What is she going to find out the truth sooner or later? Had that been all, Zipp probably wouldn't have worried too much, but that was just the start of her turmoil. Her next big change came when she was with Hitch at the station. Yeah, now we're talking. Helping him with his podcast. She was currently holding Okay, writer, you've offended me. Sparkly? It's Sparky! What are you doing? Get your grammar right. She was currently holding Sparkly, keeping him out of getting into too much trouble while his father spoke about another case. Zipp couldn't help but admire watching Hitch at work. The stallion's dedication to not just his job, but to his friends and family was something she found almost attractive about the sheriff. And that wasn't even taking into account his toned muscles and his firm flank. Well, you have been staring and peeking at Hitch's rump occasionally, Zipp, so what is your problem there? Ugh, she really fancies him, doesn't she? Once more, she found herself wondering again. She is going to be the queen of Zephyr Heights someday, and every queen needed a king. Yes! Oh, I love that punctuation there. And that's all for now. This is Sheriff Hitch Trailblazer signing off, Hitch said to the microphone as he ended the podcast. Hearing that, Zipp's smile increased as she got up and put down Sparky. That was some fine work there, Sheriff, she complimented him as she approached him with half-lidded eyes. This is not the time to get horny, Zipp. All that hard work must be exhausting. Yeah, well, some pony has to get it done, they say, Hitch replied. Zipp's smirk increased as she leaned up against Hitch. I'm trying too hard not to fanboy here. You know, I have just the perfect idea on how we can take care of that stress. Just the two of us, right here, right now. Hitch immediately caught on and blushed madly at both Zipp pressing up against him and her suggestive tone. Zipp, let's think for a moment here, he tried to reason with her as she leaned in more. You're practically grinding him, Zipp. Alright, you need to calm down. Sparky's here for Pony's sake. Think about what you're suggesting we subjugate him to. Oh, wow, what a gentle pony Hitch is. He has manners, thinking about the child. Like, oh my god, Zipp, Hitch has a point there. His brief shout seemed to get through to Zipp as her eyes widened and she quickly backed away from Hitch like she was burned. Hitch, I'm so sorry. Zipp couldn't find the words to explain herself and quickly bolted out of the door, taking flight as soon as she could. Zipp, wait! Hitch tried to call out to her, but it was too late as she was already long gone. As he looked up at the sky with concern, Sparkly, sensing his distress, walked up to his father and hugged his foreleg, making soft coos in an effort to calm him. Aww. Hitch smiled at the baby dragon and picked him up before looking at the sky again. I don't know what's wrong with her either, Sparky. Whatever it is, it can't be good. You're telling me, Hitch? I think that was already kind of eerily amorous. But even though I would accept it in private, but that is not how I expected this to go down. Despite what it looked like, that wasn't when things reached their worst. Sure, she now was avoiding Hitch as much as she could and was also staying away from any mirrors to keep the image of herself with red eyes, a crown, and a horrifying evil smile from appearing. But that was nothing compared to what she was about to experience. What on earth? What happens? It was at night. All of the Bright House's residents were sound asleep in their beds. Well, 3 out of the 4 were sound asleep. Zipp couldn't fall asleep. She hasn't been able to for nights now. No pony knew this, as she was just able to get herself cups of coffee before they woke up. But until that time came, all she could do now was just stare at the ceiling while listening to the snores of her friends and sister. Talk about a mood, guys. Wow. Sister. Zipp rolled herself over and looked directly at the pink Pegasus sleeping in the bed next to hers. She looked absolutely peaceful as she slept. Zipp didn't know what she was dreaming about, but the large smile on her face meant that it was something pleasant. Zipp frowned at the thought. Look at her. No doubt she's dreaming about how one day she'll be queen and rule over Zephyr Heights. And why wouldn't she think that? She is Mum's favorite. Of course she'd give Pip the throne. That throne belongs to me! Don't listen to the evil side, Zipp. You need to get to sleep. Zipp got out of bed and quietly walked over to where Pip was. She looked down upon her sister with a frown on her face. Even if she doesn't take the throne from me immediately, she could still do it. Her fans contain almost every pony in Equestria. All she needs to do is start posting her campaign against me, and ponies will be flocking to her side by the dozens. I'll have to make sure that never happens. No. Don't tell me she's gonna... She slowly raised her hooves and began lowering them at her sister! Oh my god, is she going to strangle Pip? It might seem suspicious, but all I have to do is play dumb, and those idiots will never realize it was me. Shouldn't be too hard. These ponies are completely helpless without my knowledge to guide them. Oh my god, she's ruthless. She smirked triumphantly at the thought of fooling her friends as her hoofs made contact with her sister's neck. But thirst to take care of any possible competition. Who knows? Poor mother's heart might become so broken from Pip's sudden passing that she won't be able to rule anymore, giving me access to all of Equestria. This is really having me on edge, I have to say. She was about to apply the force when the sudden realization of what she was doing hit her like she crashed into a brick wall. No! She hastily backed away as quickly as she could before she fell over in fear. Well, thanks Celestia that a murder scene didn't happen. I'm so relieved at that. Wow. Surprisingly, the noise she made hadn't woke up any of her friends. They only continued sleeping, oblivious to the heavy panting coming from Zipp. She couldn't believe herself. She was about to actually kill Pip. Her own sister, in cold blood! Her heart felt like it was going to explode, while her stomach felt like it was going to make her throw up at any moment. Zipp tried to slow her heart down by putting her hoof over it, but it did no good. Her breathing just increased as everything she had been doing for the last few days had been replaying in her mind like a clip show. Right now, her friends knew nothing about what she had been thinking, but they would catch on. She just knew it. And when they did, they would come to her wondering what was wrong, like the good friends they were. If they get close to me... Zipp couldn't finish the sentence as she had made up her mind. I can't stay here, she declared. She wasted no time in running down the stairs and bolting out of the front doors. I have to get somewhere they can't find me, somewhere I can't hurt them, she said as she also realized come morning they will know she is gone and begin to search for her, and one way they will do that is by following her tracks. She immediately got herself airborne and flew as fast as she could. Pepsi Max, sponsor me, please. My wings! She came to another horrific realization. They can get me almost anywhere quickly. I can escape to wherever if I encounter trouble. I'll need to clip them. They're too... What? You can't clip your own wings? That's literally like disabling yourself, Zipp. Oh my god, you really need to calm down. They're too dangerous to keep without restraints. She told herself she would do that the second she felt she was far away enough that she couldn't hurt any pony. The question was, just how far away would that be? Fortunately for the panicking princess, she knew just the place to shelter herself. No, to imprison herself. Oh boy, FLUFFBUTTS, this story is really getting tense and I am loving the suspense this is building up. Let's continue. As the sun shined into the Bright House bedroom the next morning, Pip was the first to wake up. With a yawn, she removed her sleep mask and got out of bed. She looked over at Izzy and Sunny's beds and saw that they were still asleep. Looking over to Zipp's bed, she saw that it was empty. Weird, Pip said with a raised eyebrow. It isn't like Pip to wake up before me. Shrugging it off, the pink Pegasus went downstairs where she expected to find Zipp munching on breakfast already. But to her surprise, the kitchen was empty. So was the living room, Izzy's crafting area, the critter corner. The entire ground level was devoid of all ponies beside herself. Now she was starting to get concerned. Zipp! She called out for her sister, but got no reply. Zipp! She tried again, to the same result. Where could she have gone? Pip! A drowsy Sunny asked with a yawn as she and Izzy came down the stairs. What's all the shouting for? I was looking for Zipp. She wasn't asleep, so I thought she came down here. Pip explained her situation. Makes sense, Izzy commented before adding, but I'm pretty sure she just went outside if the open doors are anything to go by. Pointing out the obvious as always, Izzy. You're so ironic. Pip followed Izzy's pointing hoof and saw that the front doors to the Bright House were indeed swung open, indicating some pony had left. At first, that filled her with relief before a thought came into her head. Wait, why didn't Pip close them on her way out? Pip knew her sister would not forget something so important like that. She was practically almost as rule crazy as Hitch when it came to locking doors at night after Sunny's lantern was stolen. Suddenly, her adrenaline began to spike as her breathing increased heavily. Sunny, seeing her distress, walked over to Pip and placed a comforting hoof on her shoulder. Hey, now, I'm sure it's nothing to worry about, she assured her. Yeah, it's not like Zipp panicked or something and ran away, Izzy said, not fully realizing what she had just said. Sunny sent the unicorn a glare, but the damage was already done. Okay, I will not do a scream like that again. That literally hurt my throat, okay? Within a few minutes of Pip's scream, Hitch came running through the Bright House doors. What happened? He hastily asked. I heard. Actually, I think all of Maritime Bay heard Pip screaming. Zipp! Flew! Gone! Was all the hyperventilating Pip could tell him as she breathed into her 15th paper bag before it popped and she moved on to the 16th. Oh my god, Pip, give it a rest. What? Hitch could only look on in confusion, unable to piece together what Pip had said. She's trying to say that Zipp ran away last night, Izzy translated for the sheriff. Oh, gotcha. Hitch calmly nodded in confirmation before the news sunk in. Wait, Zipp did what? Thinking Hitch didn't understand what she said, Izzy spoke slower this time. She ran away! Yeah, I got that the first time, Hitch told the unicorn. Why did she run away? We don't know, Sunny answered, once again comforting Pip as her hyperventilating now turned into crying. She seemed fine when we all went to bed last night. I don't get it! Pip choked out between sobs. Why would she leave us? What did we do to upset her so much? What did I do to upset her? Looking at her sobbing friend on the floor, Izzy walked over to her and pulled her into a hug. There, it's not your fault. You did nothing wrong. How would you know? Oh my god. Pip, you're actually making me sweat here. I'm actually getting hot from all of this dramatic acting. Now I know why people consider Pip to be like an ascendant of rarity. Pip asked Izzy, her sobbing making it sound like she was accusing the unicorn of being responsible. Izzy frowned and looked sadly down at the floor. Because I noticed something different was going on with Zipp for a while now, she admitted. What? Her friends said in unison. Izzy broke off the hug and stood up on her feet. Feet? You mean hoofs? After we got back from destroying Misty's necklace, I noticed something different in Zipp's sparkle. It was not the same as it usually was. It didn't shine that bright, and as days passed on, it continued on getting darker, full of less light, like something was messing with her. Sunny and Hitch were surprised to hear this, but Pip was even more so, as she glared hatefully at Izzy. You knew Zipp was struggling with something, and you didn't bother doing anything about it? She pointed a hoof accusingly at her. I thought it was best to leave it alone, Izzy responded as tears of her own started to form. Oh no, Izzy, don't you dare start crying because you're gonna make me do even more work. I was worried that if I talked to Zipp about her dimming sparkle that she'd get upset with me and that might end up making things worse. She sniffled. I didn't know what to do. I've never heard of sparkles going dark like that. Going dark? Sunny repeated, catching the intention of the others, as she thought back to the previous day. When I saw Zipp with the Unity crystals, something about her seemed off then too. She looked captivated by them, like she was obsessed with them. Obsession? Hitch said, the focus now shifting to him as he thought back to what happened at the station. Oh yeah, that explains it. Oh gosh, this is all clicking in my head now. This is very clever. Something happened with me and Zipp when she was helping me with my latest podcast. What do you mean? What happened? Sunny asked him. Hitch's response surprised her as he blushed and looked away. I'd rather not say it, mostly since I don't exactly know myself what was going on with her. She just suddenly flew off before we could talk about what happened. Judging by the blush, Sunny was able to put together what possibly happened between them. Have you tried to talk to her about it since then? I have, but she always seemed to find some way to avoid the topic and fly away, Hitch told her. Sunny put a hoof to her chin as she thought about what happened the day when Zipp's change in behavior seemed to have started. If all of this started when Misty's necklace took possession of her... She didn't get to finish her thoughts when Pip slammed her hoofs on the floor furiously. How dare you! She scolded Sunny and Hitch. Zipp would never become the kind of pony you are suggesting! How could you even think of that? Pip, calm down! Sunny tried to assure her friend as she walked over to her. We weren't accusing Zipp of doing anything evil. Oh, I know exactly what the two of you were saying! Pip shot back as she slapped Sunny's forehead away. You're thinking that my sister would betray all of us just to satisfy her status defiance? I wasn't saying that at all, Sunny said with a hurt expression. Girls, stop it! Hitch said as he and Izzy got in between the two of them. Now's not the time to be pointing hoofs about whose fault it is that Zipp ran away, he sternly told them. Hitch is right. We've got to focus on finding Zipp before something jinxy happens to her, Izzy added. Nodding in agreement, Hitch turned to Pip, the pony that knew Zipp best. Pip, think. Can you think of anywhere your sister may go if she was trying to avoid every pony? Somewhere no pony possibly knows about? Pip thought desperately. The last time Zipp was this upset, she was still in the Bright House where they talked about her recent detective work, the concert, and portrait day. I know where she is! Pip suddenly realized. Oh, where has Zipp gone? I am really intrigued by this. I am shaking because, this story is really good so far. Zipp lay down on the sandy floor of the cave she and Pip were trapped in during portrait day. Oh, she's gone back to there with like the flowers and such. Oh, good choice, Zipp. While it was possibly foolish to hide within Maritime Bay, there was no way any pony would think of looking for her here of all places. The cave was near pitch black. The tunnel atop that she and Pip used to escape was now completely covered by a large pile of rocks that she rolled on the hill and sent rolling down, diving in before they covered the hole completely so that no light was coming through the cracks. The normally bright crystals decorating the cave were now dimmed to the point of no shine emitting from them at all. This is for the best, Zipp told herself, wrapping her wings around herself to keep warm. True to her word, the first thing she did once trapped in the cave was remove her wings' flight feathers. What? Which wasn't easy in the dark, and without scissors or some pony else to do it, so she couldn't fly Okay, I'm completely baffled by that. Is that literally indicating self-harm, like cutting off or shaving off your feathers? Fucking hell, Zipp, why are you... I get that you're really feeling like isolated and such, and you don't want the evilness to come back into you, but... Oh, Damn, that is a bit extreme. But you know what? I love it because dark stories are just my fantasy and they're my guilty pleasure. True to her word, the first thing she did once trapped in the cave was remove her wing feathers, which wasn't easy in the dark and without scissors or somebody else to do it, so she couldn't fly her way out if she changed her mind. Not that Zipp's mind was changing anytime soon. It was cold in the cave. She was hungry. But Zipp kept telling herself she could not escape no matter what she wanted to do. I can't put every pony in danger like that again. Oh, why did I think it was a good idea to take that necklace? I should have just destroyed that stupid thing the first chance I had. She angrily scolded herself, kicking the sand beneath her. Oh, don't go deluding yourself, her thoughts countered. You know you've been thinking those things for a long time, regardless of any outside influences. And why wouldn't you? You know it all to be true. No, not like that! Zipp argued aloud with herself as she felt tears forming in her eyes again. I don't want to hurt any pony, she quietly said as she curled up, possibly to take another nap. And until I can be sure I won't, I can't leave this place, no matter what. Suddenly, there was a noise coming from the top of the cave. Zipp stopped crying and looked up. She thought she heard voices coming from atop. She was hoping that they were just curious passerbys and would leave once they realized that there was no way to get through. But those hopes were dashed when rocks were moved and light started to come into the cave. To make matters worse, she was able to identify the voices above as those were her friends. No, no, no! She pleaded as she quickly got to her feet. Hoofs, please. What are you doing here? Leave me in my prison, she fearfully whispered. But Zipp should have known better. Her friends were not ones to give up easily, as more and more light started to shine through. Zipp looked around desperately for a place to hide. If she was lucky, she might be able to throw off their trail, and she could keep herself hidden. But she couldn't find a hiding place. She couldn't dig a hole and cover it up fast enough. The crystals were transparent, so she'd just be appearing on the other side, and it was impossible for her to hold her breath in the pool long enough until they were gone, as if they planned on searching the cave top to bottom. Her best bet was to hide behind the rocks near the entrance and hope to whomever that Pip and Sunny don't do a flyover. The self-exiled princess quickly scampered behind the rocks and lowered herself as much as she could. The last of the rocks, or at least enough of them, were moved out of the way and her friends came flying down, with Izzy and Hitch being carried by Sunny, now in her alicorn form, and Pip. Zipp held her breath as the Earth Pony Stallion and Unicorn were placed on the sand, while Sunny and Pip stayed airborne. This is where you two were trapped during Portrait Day? Sunny asked as she looked around. Yep, Pip responded before frowning. Though I don't remember it being this dark and depressing. Yeah, this place has, no sparkle to it, Izzy said as she looked at her reflection in one of the crystals, having lit up her horn to give them better light. Really brings down the mood. Then that only proves my point that Zipp has to be here, Pip declared, making her sister's blood freeze. Oh, I loved that line there, making her sister's blood freeze. That really insinuates the danger and the fright that Zipp is really feeling. Good work there, writer. Zipp! She called out to her sister before her friends joined in. Zipp! Zipp! Zip-a-doodle! Okay, Izzy, enough of you. Hearing her name get called only frightened Zipp more and more. They were getting closer to her hiding spot with every call, and all she could do was try and make herself smaller and smaller with little change. Finally, her luck ran out as Pip flew right above her and saw Zipp cowering on the floor. Zipp! She exclaimed as she quickly flew down to give her sister the biggest hug she could. But to Pip's surprise, Zipp did not seem to return the enthusiasm. No! She shouted as she ran out of the way in time to dodge Pip's embrace. Zipp! Pip said in confusion with a hurt look on her face as the rest of her friends quickly ran over. Stay away! Please, don't come any closer, all of you, Pip pleaded as she backed away from her friends until she couldn't anymore. Zipp, what's wrong? Sunny asked. If it's about you running away, we're not mad at you, Hitch assured her. You don't have to be afraid of us. I know that. It's me you should be afraid of, Zipp warned them. Huh? The four friends said together before Izzy spoke up. What are you talking about, Zippy? Why should we be afraid of you? Because I'm a danger to you, Izzy. To all of you, Zipp said as tears started to fall. If I stay around you all, I'll soon lose control of myself and hurt you all. That's why I need to stay here, in a dark cave with no light, no food, dwindling air, and... Pip paused as she noticed the feathers at her hoofs. She immediately recognized them as Zipp's, and it was only then that she noticed that her sister's beautiful wings had splodges of red on them and were much shorter. Oh, my pony! Zipp, you didn't! She pleaded with her sister. I had to! Zipp retorted. If I could still fly, then that would just make it all the easier to harm every pony. So your plan was to trap yourself in a cave with no ways of escape or survival? Sunny yelled. It wasn't going to be permanent, Zipp tried to assure them. It was only until I started to feel better and I could come back to all of you. And when exactly was that going to be? Hitch asked. A few days? A few weeks? A few months? I don't know! Zipp cried. Maybe it would have been permanent. The important thing is that all of you would be safe from me. Her friends looked like they were about to say something else, but stopped themselves, realizing that yelling at Zipp was only making the situation worse. They had to try a more gentler approach to figure out what was wrong, and Izzy was the pony for that. Zipp, she said quietly, is this about your darkened sparkle? Zipp didn't say anything this time and only just nodded her head. Oh, Zipp, Izzy said sadly with a hoof on her chest. I'm so sorry. I should have talked to you about it. Instead, I was scared that I'd yell at you, call you an idiot, maybe even slap you. Zipp guessed what Izzy's response would be. Don't worry, you were right. I would have done that. Hearing that put a shocked and almost horrified look on every pony's faces. What? Zipp, why would you even think of yourself saying that? Sunny asked. She wasn't hurt by this information, more so that she was shocked. Oh, don't act all surprised, Sunny. You saw me with the Unity crystals. You knew I was starting to think things. Zipp told her. How they were created to hold all the magic in Equestria, how some pony is trying to take that magic from them, how it might be possible for any pony to be able to take all that magic. Zipp, you're starting to scare me, Pip admitted. Zipp looked at her younger sister dead in the eyes. Good. It should be like that. You and Hitch should be the ones frightened by me most of all. Us? Hitch said in confusion. Why would we... I tried to... Oh. Okay, Zipp. A bit too much there. Alright, for your protection, FLUFFBUTTS, I am not going to say that word on this channel, alright? That's just not me. Zipp tried as the dam holding her tears back burst. You can't put it any other way! I was forcing myself upon you, and I was going to take advantage of you! I can only imagine what my neighbors are probably hearing from behind the wall because there's probably like another bedroom back there. If I get police knocking on my door, I am blaming you, writer. This is all your fault. Hearing that made Hitch back up in shock, having a hard time comprehending what he just heard Zipp say. Why would you even think of doing that? Because I can't control myself anymore! That's why! Zipp shouted so loudly that it echoed off the cave walls for well over a minute. You're probably thinking that, oh, this is just something from that necklace. It's not the real you, Zipp. And that I've been corrupted somehow even after it was destroyed. Well, you're wrong! I've been always having thoughts like these. How am I smarter than all of you? How could I possibly become an alicorn myself from the crystals, being Hitch's mere friend and eventually having him as my king? God. Oh my god, I am torturing myself here. I'm actually getting dizzy. Alright, I think I need to calm down myself. How, when I'm queen, ponies will be obeying me without question? How Pip and I will become enemies? Enemies? Pip repeated. Zipp, I would never. I tried to kill you, Pip! Zipp cut her off. There was a deathly silence before Zipp continued. That night, I went over to your bed and was about to strangle you to death, all because I kept getting the dumb idea that you would start a campaign against me when I'm queen, so you can have the throne to yourself, because you're Mum's favorite. If it took me even a second longer to realize what I was doing, you wouldn't still be alive. Don't worry, I'm pretending this is tea so I can sip all the drama that's happening. She looked from Pip to all of her friends. Tell me, does that sound like the kind of idea a sister would do? The kind of thing a princess would do to you? The kind of thing any decent pony would do? No, it's not! She shouted so loud, her voice was beginning to hurt. You're telling me, Zipp? I'm right there with you! So she paused briefly and looked down and into the pool. Maybe the dark magic had a hoof in making these thoughts become more extreme. She told them more calmly in a raspy voice as she envisioned her corrupted self in the reflection. But that doesn't mean anything when thoughts like these have always been going through my head. You all may have been made opposites of yourselves, but not me. I was showing the real me that day, she said before collapsing and crying again. Just make it easy for yourselves and hate me. Leave me here to rot and never think of me as your friend or sister again. It's better this way. Zipp's friends looked at each other in silence. They didn't know what to do. Of all the things that could have been haunting Zipp, none of them expected something like this. They could only just watch as their friend continued crying, not knowing what to do. Finally, Pip stepped forward and approached her sister. Zipp heard her coming and briefly looked up to see Pip looking down at her before burying her face back into her hoofs. She could not look at her sister in the face, not even as she yelled and screamed at her for her betrayal. Not even as she rightfully punched her to the point her own face would be unrecognizable. Not even as she pulled her older sister up and hugged her. Wait, what? Zipp opened her eyes and saw that Pip had pulled her into a massive hug. Pip? She choked through her tears. Why? Because I trust you, Zipp, Pip answered softly. I know you would never hurt me. You're my best friend, my family. I could never hate you. Okay. Hearing that Hitch is now Zipp's stallion friend and her shouting, I wonder what he's going to do. Pip is right. While it is alarming to hear that you've been having these thoughts, I know this isn't the real you, he told her. Also, he said before he gave her a kiss on the cheek. Oh boy! Okay, Hitch. I know that Zipp tried to basically passionately hug you, but okay, he is really easily forgiving. Oh, Hitch is such a gentleman. I would be lying if I said I haven't had some less than appropriate thoughts. You just had to fucking tease us right in the middle of an apology, didn't you, writer? Okay. He admitted with a blush, and Sunny joined in on the hug. You say that you're a monster for feeling superior about yourself. Well, if that's the case, then I would also be like that. As the Alicorn, especially after getting the mirror, I've started to realize how powerful I am compared to every pony else. How could I, like you, have ponies serving my every whim? No matter how hard I try, the thoughts still come to me, and sometimes they do become borderline evil. I've considered replacing your mother, Zipp. Oh, gosh. Now that's grim, Sonny. If you're a horrible pony for having no control over what you think, then so am I. As am I, Hitch agreed. And me, Pip added as Izzy joined in on the hug. Me as well. What evil things can you be guilty of, Izzy? All you were doing was just stomping your crafts. That's what you are. You're just a homewrecker. You shouldn't be afraid of admitting things to us, Zipp. Even if they do seem bad, we'll understand, the unicorn said. You guys, Zipp quietly said. You're hurting, Zipp. You're hurting bad, Sunny told her, softly but honestly. You need help. Professional help. You'll probably have to go to therapy for a long time if you've been like this for so long, Hitch admitted. But you won't be doing it all alone. Ah, that's the attitude, guys. That's the spirit. Yay! We want to help you, Izzy said. We'll stand by your side every step of the way, even if you somehow turn evil, which will never happen in the first place. We'd still want to help you. You're the best sister I could ask for, Zipp, Pip said quietly as she nuzzled deep into her sister's mane. Oh, this is too cute now. Oh, I can't handle it. Please let us help you. Don't be afraid of us. Don't be afraid of yourself. I need you. We all do. Hearing her friend's vows made Zipp start to tear up again. But this time for a different reason. The white Pegasus was feeling very foolish right now. She should have known that her friends wouldn't hate her for this, no matter how messed up it seemed. Looking down in the water, her reflection was back to normal, showing her embraced by her friends. I'm not gonna lie, I love that mirror reflection bit in this writing because it really shows the contrast between evil Zipp and the Zipp right now with her friends. She'll never become what is reflecting back at herself. It's so smart. The ponies would never leave her. Alright, you win, she said with a smile as tears slid down her cheeks. Her friends smiled brightly at that, Hitch giving her another kiss on the cheek that she returned this time! Fuck yes! Come on, every pony, Sunny beamed. Let's spend the whole day together, just the 5 of us. I think I'd like that, Zipp said softly as the group made their way to the exit. As Sunny began carrying Izzy out, Zipp opened her wings and was about to do the same before Pip stopped her. Aren't you forgetting something? She reminded her sister, pointing down to the feathers on the floor. Oh, yeah. Zipp slumped in embarrassment, remembering how she basically handicapped herself in the panic. It's okay, Pip assured herself as she grabbed Zipp and flew her up. They'll grow back. Yeah, in a month at best. Zipp groaned at the fact of being literally grounded for that long. Well, you're about to become an earth pony, Zipp. Now let's see how it feels. Hey, if you need to go flying, you can always ask me, Pip assured her. This little pagan nugget is a lot stronger than she looks, in case you have forgotten, she bragged. What kind of absurd nickname is that? Little pagan nugget? Well, it kind of makes sense because Pip was shown to be a little chubby in the show, so I think this nickname is adorable for her. Zipp smiled and nuzzled her sister's cheek. I'll think about that. Just remember, Zipp, we're sisters forever. Nothing will change that, Pip said as she returned the nuzzle. The road to recovery for Zipp was not going to be an easy one. She knew that the events of the last few days will always be in her memories. She knew that she was always going to have unpleasant thoughts about her superiority to others and dramatic concerns about the future. But after today, Zipp could also say that she felt safer with herself, that she could start trusting herself again, like her friends trust her. Yes, what an absolutely golden fanfiction. I love that, really good. That fanfiction was an experience and a half. I loved all the dramatic tension that came along with it, and Zipp's characterization and the cuteness of the main 5 just coming together and supporting Zipp, and the clever wordplay as well. However, you could have done better without that particular word in the cave scene. I don't think that was kind of necessary. You could have just phrased it a bit better, but nevertheless, this fanfiction was really fantastic, and I liked every second of it. And evil Zipp, I honestly want to see more of her in the future. And the Stormblazer moments, wowee, this writer knows how to satisfy my inner passions. If I had to rank this fanfiction, I would probably give it a yay and maybe an 8 out of 10. It's generous and it was really cool. Maybe there were some little titty bit nitpicks that I didn't really agree with, but on the whole, it's amazing and I would definitely recommend this to everyone. So you definitely get my like. So FLUFFBUTTS, don't forget to hoof smash that like button down below and tell me your thoughts down in the comments of what you thought of this fanfiction, and subscribe to my channel for more videos like this coming soon. And also, don't forget to leave a pledge on my Patreon page down in the description below, so you can help support me in making these fantastic videos more consistently. And I shall see you all very soon. Goodbye! And finally, I want to give a massive thank you to all of my FLUFFBUTT patrons on my Patreon. My silver patrons, Louise Wade, Alex Smith, and Chad, and my gold patrons, Drew Lazinski, Clear Heart Apple, Owen Wildish, Jonathan Chapper, Darth Siler 12, Kiki Bat VA, Kitty Guardian, and the Peyton Grauerful Trisky. All of your love and support is greatly appreciated. Thank you.